Jaren wiped his hands on his oil-stained jumpsuit and looked around the maintenance bay. The hum of starship engines filled the large chamber, mingling with the occasional metallic clang from alien tools. Humans and aliens worked side by side, preparing ships for the next journey through the stars. For Jaren, this was just another day on the interstellar spaceport, or at least he thought so. The bay smelled of grease, ozone, and something faintly metallic. Rows of armor, weapons, and starship parts were stacked neatly on racks. Jaren liked the smell. It reminded him of home, of endless tinkering with engines and machines. His supervisor, a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms, had assigned him the job of cleaning some old armor lying in the corner. "These armors need polish," the supervisor said, pointing with one of his hands. "Be careful. Some of them are special." Jaren nodded, eager to impress. "Got it. Careful. Special." The armor glinted under the bright lights of the bay. Most sets were simple and functional, but one stood out. Its surface was dull, yet intricate patterns etched into the metal caught his eye. Curious, Jaren picked up a polishing cloth. He had polished engines, tools, even spacecraft panels, but never alien armor. Still, polishing was polishing, wasn't it? He began wiping carefully, imagining the shine spreading across the metal. He didn't notice her at first. Lyra appeared silently behind him, her steps almost soundless despite her armored boots. She was unlike anyone Jaren had ever met, tall, lithe, with bright violet skin and piercing golden eyes. Her armor was hers and he was touching it. She froze the moment she saw what he was doing. Jaren, feeling a tap on his shoulder, turned. Her eyes widened and her body stiffened. "Do you even know what that means?" she whispered, voice barely audible but sharp enough to make him freeze. Jaren blinked, confused. I'm just cleaning your armor?" Lyra's gaze was intense, almost unreadable. "Polishing this armor. It is not a cleaning task. It is not just polish. It is a message. A commitment. You have no idea what you've done." Jaren's stomach sank. I didn't know, I swear. I thought it needed cleaning." She took a step closer, her eyes never leaving his. "Do you understand what it symbolizes in my culture?" He shook his head slowly. "No, I didn't." Lyra crossed her arms and took a deep breath. Her usual calmness was gone, replaced by tension. "This armor is sacred. It is polished only by someone who earns trust. By someone who is chosen, and now you've polished it without permission." Jaren's mind raced. I didn't know it was sacred. His words trailed off. "I didn't mean to." "You didn't mean to?" "Yes," Lyra said sharply. She turned and looked at the polished armor, her expression unreadable. "But intent does not erase meaning." Jaren swallowed hard. The hum of the engine suddenly felt louder, almost mocking. He had no idea what he had gotten himself into. I can fix it," he said, desperate. "I can undo it, or—" Lyra shook her head slowly. "You cannot undo what is done. Polishing it sends a message you cannot take back." Jaren ran a hand through his hair. "A message? What kind of message?" She looked at him, her golden eyes sharp yet tired. "It is a sign of trust, of alliance, of acceptance. It is something earned, not given. And now you've given it accidentally." The words hung in the air. Jaren felt the weight of them like a physical object pressing against his chest. He had only wanted to clean the armor, yet somehow he had committed a cultural mistake. "A serious one. I want to understand," Jaren said finally, his voice calm but determined. "Please, and tell me what I've done. I'll make it right." Lyra studied him for a long moment. Finally she spoke, her voice softer but still tense. "You do not understand. And until you understand, you cannot correct it. You must learn first." Jaren nodded. "I will learn. I want to learn. Tell me what I need to do." She paused, considering him. "You will start by understanding my culture. Every mark, every ritual, every tradition behind this armor. You will study it. Only then can you begin to grasp the meaning of your actions." Jaren swallowed. "Where do I start?" Lyra's lips curved into something almost like a small smile. "The cultural archives. I will take you there." Jaren felt a strange mix of relief and nervousness. Relief because he still had a chance to make amends. Nervousness because he had no idea what he was walking into. He had never studied alien traditions before. Most humans didn't, but he was determined. If understanding Lyra's armor meant earning her trust, he would do it. The archives were a quiet place compared to the bustling bay. Rows of glowing tablets, holographic books, and memory crystals lined the walls. Lyra guided him carefully, explaining how each artifact related to their warrior traditions. "This armor is part of a larger story," she said, her tone slightly less sharp now. "Every scratch, every polish, every dent tells a history. It is not decoration. It is honor." Jaren nodded, trying to absorb every word. "I see, so polishing it is like acknowledging that history?" "Yes," Lyra said, her eyes finally meeting his fully. "Polishing it is a statement. It says you are trusted, that you understand the responsibility, that you accept the burden that comes with wearing or handling it." Jaren felt his heart pound. "And I didn't know. You acted without understanding," Lyra said. "But your honesty may help you. Most humans would have ignored the rules entirely. You stopped, you admitted your mistake, and you want to learn. That is unusual, perhaps worthy of attention." Her words surprised him. "So I still have a chance?" Lyra studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "Perhaps, but it will not be easy. Understanding my people takes time. You will need patience, courage, and respect. And even then, mistakes may happen." Jaren felt a spark of determination. "I'll do it. I'll learn everything I need to know. I'll understand your traditions, I'll respect them, and I'll make sure I never disrespect you again." Lyra finally let out a small, almost imperceptible sigh. "Very well. We begin tomorrow. But for now, leave the armor. Do not touch it again." Jaren stepped back and nodded. "Understood." As he walked back to the maintenance bay, he looked at the polished armor one last time. The metal gleamed under the bright lights, shining almost as if it had a life of its own. Jaren realized that this was more than just metal. It carried the weight of trust, honor, and history. He had accidentally stepped into a world far more complex than he had imagined, and somehow he felt honored, even if he had no idea how difficult the path ahead would be. He didn't know it yet, but this mistake, the one accidental polish, would change everything. It would push him to face dangers he had never imagined, learn lessons about courage and respect, and ultimately show what humans could achieve when they approached alien worlds with honesty and determination. Jaren took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He didn't know the full story yet, but he knew one thing: he would not fail. Not this time. The bay hummed around him, starship engines vibrating through the floor. Outside, the stars of 1,000 worlds blinked patiently. Somewhere among them, humans like Jaren were proving every day that even in alien lands, courage, honesty, and determination could make a difference. And maybe, just maybe, it could even earn the trust of someone like Lyra. The next morning, Jaren arrived at the Alien Cultural Archives before the sun of the spaceport had even risen. The halls were quiet, lit by soft blue lights that reflected off polished crystal floors. Lyra was already there, standing near a row of glowing memory tablets, her armor gleaming faintly in the dim light. "Good morning," Jaren said nervously, stepping forward. "I'm ready." Lyra regarded him silently for a moment, then gestured toward the first set of tablets. "If you wish to understand the significance of my armor, you must begin with history. Every piece, every symbol, every polish is connected to a story of our people. You will study them carefully." Jaren nodded, excitement and anxiety twisting together in his chest. "I will." He approached the first tablet. Holographic images flickered into life above it, showing alien warriors in battle, ceremonial events, and scenes of honor and courage. He stared at a particular image, a young warrior standing before a massive hall polishing her armor while elders watched. "Why do they polish before battle?" he asked, curiosity rising. Lyra's golden eyes softened as she explained. "Polishing armor is not for appearance. It is a ritual of preparation. It shows respect for the armor itself, the warrior it belongs to, and the battles it has faced. It is a reflection of one's intent, care, and responsibility. Only those who have earned trust may perform this act for another." Jaren felt his stomach tighten. He had done this accidentally, without understanding, and now the weight of his mistake pressed down harder than ever. "So, if I polished your armor," he said slowly, "it could be seen as me claiming trust before I earned it?" "Yes," Lyra said softly. "Or worse, it could be seen as disrespect. An act done without understanding can dishonor both the armor and the one it belongs to." Jaren swallowed hard. "I didn't mean any disrespect. I just wanted to clean it. I didn't know." Lyra's expression was unreadable. "Intent matters, but so does awareness. Ignorance does not excuse the act entirely. But perhaps your honesty may be the first step toward repair." They moved to another section of the archives. This one displayed holograms of ceremonial armor polishing during festivals, with elders observing the process closely. Jaren studied the patterns etched into each piece, geometric shapes intertwined with tiny symbols, each telling a story. Every mark on the armor has meaning, Lyra said. Each scratch, each dent, each polish tells a history. Polishing it is acknowledging that history. It is more than metal. It is memory. Jaren ran his fingers along the smooth edge of a replica armor. So it's like honoring everything it has been through? Lyra nodded. Exactly. And not just honoring, it is a promise. A promise to protect, respect, and carry the weight of that history with care. Polishing it unintentionally, it sends a message you are not ready to fulfill. Jaren's mind raced. He had always thought humans were clever and adaptable, but this was different. Alien culture was so intricate, so layered with meaning, that one small mistake could have consequences he could not imagine. Yet he felt a spark of determination. He wanted to understand, not just for himself, but for Lyra. They moved to the next display, a record of famous warriors who had polished each other's armor in the past. Lyra's tone grew slightly softer, even proud. These were the chosen ones, she said. Those who earned trust through courage, wisdom, and honesty. Polishing another's armor was a symbol of alliance. It showed the world that these warriors trusted each other completely. Jaren's eyes widened. So, if I can learn all of this, understand the rituals, maybe I can earn that trust too. Lyra looked at him, her expression unreadable. Perhaps. But understanding is only the first step. You must also show courage, patience, and respect. Learning alone does not erase a mistake. The hours passed quickly. Jaren absorbed everything he could, the history of Lyra's people, the significance of their armor, the sacred rituals surrounding trust and honor. He took notes, asked questions, and even attempted to replicate the motions of the ceremonial polish with a mock set of armor. Lyra watched him critically, correcting his stance, his hand movements, and his posture. You must move with intention, she explained. Not only your hands, but your mind. Every gesture communicates respect or disrespect. A careless motion is worse than doing nothing at all. Jaren practiced for what felt like hours. Sweat gathered on his forehead and his arms ached, but he kept going. He wanted to prove that humans could not only understand alien traditions, but could also honor them with sincerity. By the time the sun rose high in the spaceport, Jaren felt exhausted yet exhilarated. Lyra finally allowed him a short break. They sat together in the quiet corner of the archives, surrounded by glowing tablets and holographic images. Do you see now? She asked, her voice softer than before. Do you understand the weight of the act you performed? Jaren nodded. Yes, more than I imagined. It's not just polish. It's trust, respect, history, and promise. I understand why it mattered so much. Lyra studied him for a moment. Understanding is the beginning, but action is what truly matters. Words alone cannot fix a mistake. You must demonstrate your understanding through deeds. What kind of deeds? Jaren asked, eager to prove himself. Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. That will come in time. First, you must continue learning. You must understand not just the armor, but the world it comes from. The culture, the people, the values. Only then will your actions have meaning. Jaren nodded, determination burning in his chest. I'll study everything. I'll do whatever it takes. Lyra's gaze softened further. Good, but know this. The path will not be easy. You may fail many times, and yet the effort you make, the sincerity you show will matter more than perfection. Jaren felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. Fear because he didn't know what challenges awaited him, but excitement because he now had a purpose. He wanted to bridge the gap between human and alien, to prove that understanding, honesty, and courage could transcend worlds. For the rest of the day, Jaren continued his studies. He memorized rituals, practiced the careful gestures of the ceremonial polish, and even learned the proper way to address elders in Lyra's culture. Every detail mattered, and he noted each with precision. By evening, he finally stepped outside the archives. The twin moons of the spaceport glimmered in the darkening sky. He took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill his lungs. He had learned much, but he knew that understanding alone would not be enough. Tomorrow, he would begin the real test, showing Lyra that he could act with courage, respect, and honor in situations far more challenging than simply polishing armor. And somewhere deep inside, Jaren felt a quiet hope. A hope that humans, simple, stubborn, and determined, could earn respect even in worlds far from home. Because he now understood. It was not just about cleaning or polishing. It was about trust. It was about honor. And it was about proving that humans could rise to the challenge when others doubted them. He glanced back at the archives one last time, where Lyra's figure stood like a sentinel among the glowing tablets. She was still watching him, silent and careful. And Jaren realized that for the first time, he wanted to earn more than just forgiveness. He wanted to earn respect. The journey ahead was uncertain. There would be tests, dangers, and lessons he could not yet imagine. But for the first time, Jaren felt ready to face the challenges, ready to understand the depth of alien culture, and ready to show what humans could do. He clenched his fists, determination burning brighter than the twin moons above. Whatever it took, he would not fail, because polishing armor had been only the beginning. The real journey, the one that would show his courage, his understanding, and his heart, was just beginning. And Lyra, well, she would be there to see it all unfold. The sun had barely risen over the spaceport when Jaren followed Lyra onto the landing platform. The roar of departing starships filled the air, and a soft breeze carried the smell of ozone and fuel. Today he would begin the true test, one that would determine if he could show understanding, courage, and respect beyond words. Lyra's golden eyes were steady as she gestured toward a sleek spacecraft docked at the edge of the platform. "Your lesson begins now," she said. "The ship's defense system has malfunctioned. It must be repaired, alone and not on solid ground. You will navigate the asteroid belt nearby to reach it." Jaren felt a jolt of anxiety. The asteroid belt was notorious. Rocks the size of buildings floated unpredictably, and radiation pockets made navigation tricky. Even experienced engineers hesitated to attempt repairs in such conditions. I can do this," he said, swallowing hard. "I just need to follow the procedures." Lyra tilted her head, watching him carefully. "This is more than procedures. You will face dangers you cannot anticipate. You must remain calm, decisive, and resourceful. Only then will your actions carry meaning." He nodded, determination hardening inside him. "I'm ready." The small spacecraft was cold and silent inside, lit by blinking control panels. Jaren quickly accessed the schematics of the defense system. Warnings flashed in red across the screens, indicating the system's critical failure. He realized the gravity of the situation. One mistake could disable the ship completely, putting everyone on the spaceport in danger. As he prepared his tools, Lyra's voice came through the comm link. "Remember what you have learned. Intent is not enough. Action must reflect understanding." Jaren felt a surge of responsibility. He secured himself in the pilot seat and guided the ship out of the hangar. The vastness of space spread before him, dotted with asteroids slowly drifting in silent chaos. The first few maneuvers were straightforward, following mapped routes between the larger rocks. But soon the asteroid field grew denser, unpredictable. A massive rock hurtled toward him from the left. Jaren's hands tightened on the controls. He twisted the ship sharply, narrowly avoiding collision. The warning alarms blared, but he steadied his breathing, recalling Lyra's words. Patience, focus, respect for the craft, and respect for the challenge. "Good," Lyra's voice said calmly. "Now anticipate, predict, act." Jaren scanned the surrounding asteroids, calculating angles and velocities. He realized that rushing blindly would be fatal. Carefully, he guided the ship along a narrow path, weaving between rocks, following the rhythm of the belt like a dancer in a deadly performance. Every movement required precision. Every decision mattered. Finally, he reached the target ship, a medium-sized transport vessel with its defense system offline. Its panels were dark, sparks flickering intermittently from damaged circuits. Jaren floated over in the repair pod, tethered carefully to avoid drifting into space. The controls were complex with alien symbols and unfamiliar mechanisms. He took a deep breath, recalling the archives he had studied. Every detail Lyra had shown him. The gestures, the respect for each part of the armor and systems now applied to this task. He treated the machinery as if it carried its own history, honoring each connection and panel. Hours passed. Sparks flew, panels clicked, and circuits hummed under his careful touch. At one point, a small piece of debris knocked the pod slightly and he nearly lost balance. But he steadied himself, speaking quietly to the systems as if encouraging them. "Stay steady. We'll fix this together." Through focus, patience, and understanding, he corrected the system's failures one by one. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he worked tirelessly, aware that failure was not an option. Finally, the main defense array blinked green. The alarm silenced and the system hummed steadily, fully operational. Jaren exhaled, relief and pride mixing in his chest. He had done it. Alone, under pressure, and in conditions far more challenging than any training simulation. Excellent, Lyra said over the comm. Her voice carried approval. You have shown resourcefulness, courage, and respect. This is the first true demonstration of understanding. Jaren smiled faintly, feeling a rush of accomplishment, but Lyra wasn't finished. Return to the spaceport, she instructed. We are not done yet. The journey back was no less challenging. Debris shifted, unexpected collisions loomed, and a minor system glitch in the ship forced him to improvise repairs mid-flight. Jaren's hands flew over controls and tools, every action deliberate, every decision guided by focus and experience. Finally, the ship touched down smoothly. Jaren unstrapped himself and exhaled fully, feeling muscles he didn't know he had ache from tension. Lyra was waiting, her arms crossed and golden eyes bright. You faced danger directly, she said. You acted with caution, respect, and initiative. Most humans would panic. Most would fail. Jaren rubbed his neck, a sheepish grin appearing. I guess I'm not most humans. Lyra tilted her head, lips curving slightly. You are not. Her gaze softened. You have shown that humans, though sometimes reckless, possess qualities worth noting. Perseverance, courage, and the ability to learn quickly. You also show honesty and humility, which is rare. Jaren's chest swelled with quiet pride. I did what I had to do. I wanted to prove that I could earn your trust. Lyra's eyes glimmered with faint approval. Perhaps. But trust is not given lightly. Today you have shown potential. Tomorrow you may face a challenge even greater, one that tests not only your skill but your character. Are you prepared? I am, Jaren said without hesitation. I'll face whatever comes. Lyra studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. But remember this, courage is not only action, it is understanding consequences, respecting boundaries, and knowing when to act and when to wait. You acted well today, but the path ahead is not simple. It is filled with tests that will challenge more than your hands. They will challenge your heart. Jaren nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He had survived the asteroid field and repaired a critical system, but he understood that earning trust went beyond skill. It required patience, empathy, and a deep understanding of alien culture. As they walked back toward the archives, Lyra spoke again. Tomorrow you will meet others from my people. They will observe your behavior, your choices, and your respect for tradition. Your actions will speak louder than words. Are you ready for that? Jaren swallowed, feeling a mixture of anticipation and nerves. I'll do my best. I want to understand, and I want to show respect. Lyra's gaze softened slightly. Good, that is the first sign of someone worthy of attention. But remember, worthy attention is earned, not demanded. Today was a test of courage. Tomorrow will be a test of trust. And after that, only then may the true meaning of your mistake become clear. Jaren felt a shiver run down his spine. He had polished her armor by accident, a simple act with profound consequences. But now, through action, learning, and understanding, he was beginning to navigate the complex world of alien honor and tradition, and he felt ready. The night fell over the spaceport, stars blinking across the sky as if silently watching. Jaren lay awake in his quarters, reviewing every step he had taken in the asteroid belt, every decision, every careful movement. He replayed Lyra's words in his mind. Courage, respect, patience, understanding. He realized that humans were often underestimated in the galaxy. Many species saw them as reckless, clumsy, or too impulsive to grasp complex traditions. But Jaren knew better. Through focus, sincerity, and effort, humans could rise above expectations, even in alien worlds. And maybe, just maybe, they could earn trust that no one thought possible. He glanced at the small replica of Lyra's armor he had practiced polishing with earlier. Tomorrow he would take another step toward understanding. He would meet her people, navigate their scrutiny, and continue proving that humans, while simple in some ways, could achieve greatness through honesty, courage, and determination. The journey ahead was uncertain, filled with tests he could not yet imagine, but Jaren felt ready. For the first time, he understood that mistakes were not the end. They were beginnings. And that polishing armor, a simple accidental act, had become the first step in a journey that would show what humans were truly capable of. And somewhere, Lyra watched quietly, curious to see if this human could rise to the challenge, if he could earn respect where others might fail. Jaren didn't know what the future held, but he felt a strange sense of purpose. Courage had been tested today. Respect would be tested tomorrow. And through it all, he would show that humans could stand strong, even in worlds far from home. And maybe by the time the tests were done, he would have earned not just forgiveness, but something far more valuable: trust. The spaceport was buzzing with activity when Jaren returned from the asteroid mission. Humans, aliens, and traders moved across the sprawling platforms, each immersed in their own tasks. Yet Jaren noticed how many eyes followed him. He realized that word of his success had spread. Not every human had the courage or skill to navigate the asteroid belt alone, let alone repair a critical defense system. Lyra led him to a quiet chamber near the ceremonial hall. The room was large, lined with holographic displays and alien symbols glowing softly. Other members of her species had gathered. Elders, warriors, and scholars watched silently, their expressions unreadable. "This is Jaren," Lyra announced, her golden eyes scanning the group. "He has completed a task most would have failed. He acted with courage, care, and respect." Jaren bowed slightly, unsure how to address the assembly. He remembered Lyra's lessons: respect, patience, and humility. "I am honored to be here," he said. "I have tried to understand your culture, and I wish to show respect in every action I take." One elder stepped forward. His armor was ancient, etched with centuries of history. "Humans are unpredictable," he said slowly. "Many act without thought. Yet this one shows awareness. He approaches with humility. That is unusual." Jaren felt both nervous and proud. "I am learning," he replied. "I want to understand, and I want to prove that respect can be earned through action." Lyra watched him carefully. Words matter, but actions speak louder. Today he has shown bravery. Tomorrow he will show understanding beyond physical challenges. Only then will trust be considered. Jaren felt the weight of her words. He had faced danger in space, but trust, understanding, and honor would require more than courage. He would need patience, insight, and sensitivity to traditions he barely knew. The elders gestured toward a set of ceremonial armors, polished to a mirror-like shine. "This is your next lesson," said Lyra. "Observe. Do not touch. Each piece carries history, alliances, and honor. You will learn by watching, by understanding, and by reflection." For hours, Jaren watched warriors polish armor, each gesture precise, deliberate, and meaningful. He noticed how hands moved in rhythm with the stories of battles, of loss, of triumph. Polishing was not a chore. It was a meditation, an acknowledgement of responsibility and history. He tried to memorize every motion, every subtle gesture. Each arm movement, each careful touch was a language he had never spoken before. But he was determined. Humans had a way of learning fast, of observing, and of adapting. He would use every skill he had to absorb these lessons. Finally, Lyra approached him. "You have watched long enough. Tomorrow you will participate. But remember, intention alone is not enough. Respect must guide every action. Precision must guide every movement." Jaren nodded. "I understand. I will do my best." That night he lay awake in his quarters thinking about the day. He realized that courage and skill alone were not enough to earn respect in an alien culture. Understanding traditions, acknowledging history, and acting with integrity were equally important. The next morning, the ceremonial hall was alive with activity. Lyra presented Jaren with a replica set of armor, designed for him to practice under supervision. The elders watched closely, their eyes sharp, their silence heavy with expectation. Jaren took a deep breath. He remembered every lesson, the careful way to hold each piece, the respect for its history, the deliberate, thoughtful motions. He began to polish. Each movement was slow, deliberate, reverent. He imagined the warriors who had worn the armor before, the battles fought, the promises made. An elder stepped forward, observing him closely. "He is cautious," the elder whispered to another. "But there is sincerity. He is learning not by words, but by action." Jaren's hands moved steadily. He felt a connection to the history of the armor, to the warriors, to the values it represented. For the first time, he understood what Lyra meant when she said polishing armor was a message. Every stroke, every motion was communication, of trust, of respect, of understanding. Lyra watched silently, her golden eyes assessing every gesture. When Jaren finished, he stepped back. The armor gleamed under the hall lights, polished not just with care but with understanding. The elders nodded, quietly approving. Lyra finally spoke. "You have done well. You have shown that humans, when guided by sincerity and effort, can understand and respect traditions foreign to them. You have begun to earn trust." Jaren felt a swell of pride, tempered by humility. He knew he had only just begun. Trust, like honor, was fragile. It could be strengthened by deeds and weakened by carelessness. But he had taken the first step. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "Tomorrow you will face your final lesson, the one that will decide if trust is truly earned." "Be ready," Jaren nodded. Whatever it was, he felt ready. The day arrived, bright and clear over the spaceport. Jaren followed Lyra to a vast arena where alien warriors trained. The air vibrated with energy as combat simulations and tactical exercises took place. He noticed the intensity in the warriors' eyes, their focus absolute. Lyra led him to the center. "Your final lesson begins," she said. "You must act with knowledge, skill, and respect. Today, your actions will determine your place among us. Trust is earned, and this will be your ultimate test." Jaren's heart raced. He glanced at the assembled warriors and elders, feeling both nervous and determined. He remembered all he had learned: courage, observation, patience, respect, and understanding. The challenge was revealed. A simulated crisis where a small shuttle carrying civilians was trapped in a malfunctioning transport beam. The task required precise coordination, calm decision-making, and careful handling of alien technology, mirroring both the physical and cultural lessons he had learned. Jaren approached the controls carefully, assessing the situation. Aliens around him whispered advice, but he relied on his observations and training. Every gesture was deliberate, every decision guided by understanding and respect. The shuttle's beam fluctuated dangerously, sparks flying from the consoles. Jaren worked quickly, recalling Lyra's lessons about patience and respect for technology. He adjusted settings with careful precision, communicated calmly to the crew, and anticipated system reactions before they occurred. Minutes passed like hours, but he stayed focused. Sweat dripped down his brow, muscles burned, yet he remained steady. Finally, the shuttle stabilized, safely lowering its passengers to the ground. The assembly erupted in quiet approval, the elders nodding silently, impressed. Lyra stepped forward, her golden eyes meeting his. "You have done more than complete a task. You have shown understanding, courage, and respect. You have acted not for praise but for honor. You have earned trust." Jaren felt a rush of relief and pride. "Thank you," he said, bowing slightly. "I've learned so much. I hope I can continue to earn your respect." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "You already have. Your sincerity, courage, and effort have spoken louder than words ever could. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but capable of great understanding and heroism." The elders nodded, their approval quiet but unmistakable. Jaren felt a sense of accomplishment unlike any he had known. Not because he had completed the challenge, but because he had shown that humans could rise to meet alien traditions with integrity and courage. Later, Lyra invited Jaren to a quiet balcony overlooking the spaceport. The twin moons reflected off her polished armor, casting a soft glow. "You have done well," she said softly. "Not many humans would have understood what you have. Few could have acted with such sincerity." Jaren smiled faintly. "I just wanted to make things right, and to show that humans can be trusted." Lyra's gaze softened. "You have done more than that. You have bridged a gap between our worlds. You have proven that courage, understanding, and honesty are universal. You have earned more than forgiveness. You have earned respect. And perhaps something more." Jaren felt a warmth in his chest. For the first time, he realized that this journey, starting with a simple mistake of polishing her armor, had become something far greater. It had shown him the true value of understanding, patience, courage, and trust. The moons rose higher, casting silver light across the spaceport. Jaren and Lyra stood together, silent for a moment. Two beings from different worlds connected by understanding and respect. "Thank you," Jaren said quietly, "for giving me the chance to learn." Lyra's golden eyes met his, filled with quiet approval. No, thank you, Jaren, for showing that even humans, though unrefined at times, can rise to the challenge and honor our traditions. That is something worth remembering. Jaren nodded, feeling a sense of fulfillment deeper than any victory or reward. He had started with a mistake, an accidental polish, but he had ended with trust, respect, and a bond that crossed the boundaries of species and worlds. As they stood together, gazing at the stars, Jaren realized that humans were not just survivors in the galaxy. They were capable of greatness, of honor, and of bridging worlds through courage, understanding, and heart. And in Lyra's quiet, approving presence, he knew that sometimes a single act, even a mistake, could set in motion a journey far greater than anyone could imagine.